10:15 p.m., Sergeant B. Manley said. On August 15, 2018, at about 10:15 p.m., Officer B. Manley assisted Officer Wallier and Sergeant Bakes, both with Frederick Police Department, with executing a search warrant on the home of Chris Watts. I left the residence and helped Brad from Brad's Towing and Recovery secure the vehicle Chris Watts was driving. I had sealed the vehicle with evidence tape prior to Brad arriving to tow the vehicle to his secured lot. I ensured the evidence tape on the vehicle was still in place when the truck left the scene. 10:29 p.m., Frank Rousset called the police station. Father of victim found out info by news. Needs contact as soon as possible. 10:36 p.m., Nick and Amanda Thayer arrive at the Watts house to pick up Dee to the dog.
I'm just advising my medical head at 204 Xanthi Street, 204 Xanthi Street, 434.
Stop right there. Do not pull into the driveway. Okay, I need you to park over there. We will have the dog brought out to you. 975-989. Folks are here to pick up the dog.
Okay. I'm gonna try to catch her first. Just keep her outside.
Copy. So it's going to be a few minutes. They're trying to catch that dog. So.
And what about is it possible to get food and all that good stuff? I know.
Probably not. I mean, no, it's not going to happen. I can't.
If possible, he has a black blanket that's usually on the couch.
He's being really uncooperative. So we're going to be lucky to get him in the kennel and out the door at this point. So. I know that's not the best news, but for right now, we can at least get him out. Meanwhile, just stay here. Like I stopped you guys. Can't have anybody going past the property line, so just hang. We'll get him to you, okay?
I will be answering the east garage to clear it.
She's right there. This vehicle right here. They were asking about food. I told them I didn't know if that was a possibility or not. Back up for me. Yep.
I got food. I got dog food.
I don't know if it was accessible in there or not.
Let me go look. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll get free dog food at my house on the way out.
What's that?
You don't have to.
They
get
were
the dog
asking.
food from inside. I'll give them the rest of my bag.
He's gonna go look. It's fine.
I got blue. I got the rest of the dog bag. I got 2 bags.
They don't have it. I got some.
As long as you stay on this side of the line.
That's fine.
You guys in this circumstance, but they got it taken care of. They got it taken care of.
We have an urban farm.
They got it taken care of. But I will tell her parents tomorrow. That you guys have the dog and you guys will take care of, that part of it. And I'm sure they'll be flying out tomorrow or something. So
Obviously, mean, if you're, we have proof they need to film.
Yeah, I told them the same
They're
thing.
gonna go up.
They'll probably come, honest truth, they'll probably come stay with me.
Anyway, 52 and Ridgeway.
There's the dog food.
That's it, huge. That's all I need is a dog with diarrhea for the wrong
Thank
food.
you guys for taking care of
Thank
this
you so
part of it
much,
and
guys.
giving at least some one of us the dog.
Are we good to go? Do you guys need anything from us?
I think we're good, right, Sarge? We're good. Appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good?
Yep, good.
See you guys later, man.
So yeah, I'll talk to them and let them know what's going on. Obviously, I'm not going to call them right now. But I'm guessing sometime tomorrow they'll get in touch with me and ask me what's going on because they have no idea from there. I've been their contact since the circle started.
We'll be home all day tomorrow. There's no way we'll
I can't believe that we went one good body and came back and I was standing out here. I was standing out here when he came home and let everybody in the house for this time. My video right there was
That's good that you have that.
and listen to this, I don't know if you believe whatever, but his camera was facing this way, and I was like, no, I want as much of it straight away. So he readjusted it so you could see it. Oh, really? When we loaded it, Ollie goes, it's such a good thing you told them to turn it the way you did.
Anadarko, Day 1, August 15, 2018. Crime scene analyst David Yoakum said. At the site, numerous vehicles were parked within the fenced perimeter. Due to diminishing daylight, auxiliary lighting was brought into the scene by Anadarko. Located to the south and east of the wellhead was an area that appeared to have been recently excavated and filled back in. The area appeared to be approximately 8 feet by 14 feet in diameter. Living foliage was observed partially buried on and under the uneven ground. Once the search warrant for the property had been confirmed to have been signed, a more thorough search of the property was done. Items of evidence located were collected and packaged by myself and F.S. Schroeder. Scene processing. Photos were taken of the scene with and without markers. Measurements were taken through the use of global positioning, GPS, polar coordinates, and a laser measuring device. Blue Star latent blood reagent was applied to the thief hatch of each tank after positive and negative presumptive test of the reagent had been done with expected results. No chemiluminescence was observed on each tank or the catwalk connecting the tanks. On the north edge of the excavated plot was a rusted rake head. The rake had been placed with the handle attachment portion buried into the ground. To the east of the plot was a wooden tool handle as well as a piece of metal that was consistent with connecting a rake head to a rake handle. On the property were 2 black plastic bags. One bag was located to the west of the excavated plot while the other bag was located to the south. To the south of the black plastic bag was a bed sheet. The sheet was a fitted sheet consistent with the same pattern and colors of the sheet I observed in the kitchen trash at the home on Saratoga Trail. As the search of the site continued, I observed several strands of suspected hair attached to the interior flange of the top hatch, thief hatch, on the easternmost crude oil storage tank. 11 p.m., after the collection of the visible evidence, CSM Maloney and I began the excavation of the suspected grave site. Approximately 9 inches below the surface grade, CSM Maloney and I located the adult female victim believed to be Shanann Watts. The victim was in a fetal position with her knees pulled up to her chest at the bottom of the grave and her feet directed up towards the top of the grave. Her chest and face primarily was facing down into the ground while her back was oriented up. Her head was towards the west while her feet were towards the east. Her left arm was extended to the east alongside of her head. The victim was wearing a blue pair of underwear and a light-colored shirt. The body was decomposing and the buttock was approximately 8 inches from the top of the burial site. The depth of the grave when the body was removed was approximately 27 inches in depth. 11:02 p.m., the suspect Christopher Lee Watts was arrested at 11:02 p.m. on Wednesday, August 15, 2018. Officer M. James said. At approximately 11:02 p.m., I entered the interview room and placed Chris into custody via handcuffs. A belly belt was placed on him and his hands were secured in the front. I then transported Chris to the Weld County Jail. Throughout the ride, which was recorded via body camera, I did not ask Chris any questions and he did not make any statements. Chris was released to the custody of jail staff at approximately 12:03 p.m.
Okay. Let's walk out this way. Go straight. Go out that door to your left. Have a seat. You go that big blue door right there. Stand in front of it.
All here?
Yes, sir. You can go in and have a seat on your left, okay?
You got anything on your property, just go in and say all the time tonight, you got no problems with anything? Anything wrong with your property? No, sir.
I'm assuming. Why would we want to sell this price? Assuming I prefer to attend because it's on Mondays. It's a really bad day, I will take the sheriff somewhere will come in. A really bad.
You got two things on you anywhere that I can't see?
No, so you should get on that phone a little sooner.
Lauren Arnold said Sandra Rousset called her and told her they had taken Chris into custody. She asked for what? Sandra said, on suspicion of murder. She said that he just said he knew where they were, but Sandra said the news is going to report something different. Lauren said the news reported that Chris had confessed to murder, but her understanding was that he only confessed to knowing where they were. 11:12 p.m., Officer Wallier said. At 11:12 p.m., Weld County District Attorney Wren and District Attorney Roche arrived on scene at 2825 Saratoga Trail to observe.
Hi. DA's office. I get. What's your last name?
Need the CIDs?
Well,
Probably
you
can't hurt, huh?
definitely don't look like media. What's your last name?
Wren, W-R-E-N-N.
What's your first name?
Steve. Roach, R-O-C-H-E. Patrick.
I will let them know that you're on your way up because I believe they have the door locked at the moment. Frederick 975-989.
That's so far.
I'm sending DAs up to the front door.
Okay, copy.
These are good to go.
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
Property items recovered. Pillowcase with residue, pillowcases, top bed sheet with residue, Chris's Apple Watch, Shanann's Apple Watch, MacBook Pro with electrical cord, iPad with pink Cabney Lee brand hard case, Echo from kitchen area, N900 wireless dual band gigabit router, leggings, Shanann's clothes possibly last seen in, book Hold Me Tight hardback, light blue nitrile glove, all bedding and pillows from Bella's room, all bedding and pillow from Celeste's room, corner master bedroom comforter, all master bedroom bedding and pillows, master bedroom men's clothing from corner, clothes on master bed, all clothes in hamper in master bed bathroom, baby monitor with 2 cameras. Dell laptop, Chris Watts work computer, black plastic bag, grey and white bed sheet, rake head, rake handle, suspected hair from East oil tank, partial rake handle, Chris Watts's work cell phone, Chris Watts's personal cell phone, Shanann's cell phone, Chris Watts's wallet and contents. Thursday, August 16, 2018. Weld County Coroner Joey Weiner took possession of the body. Photographs were taken. 12:11 a.m., Officer Wallier said. On August 16, 2018, at 12:11 a.m., the front door of the residence was locked. At that time, I released the scene and Weld County Dispatch was informed. At 4:30 a.m., Kessinger called her dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger and held a 5-minute conversation. Her phone registers in Thornton, so she is back in the area. At 4:46 a.m., Kessinger's mom Barbara Jean Kivett called Kessinger and held a 1-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. 6:41 a.m., Kessinger's dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger called Kessinger and a 52-minute conversation. Her phone registers in Thornton. Anadarko, Day 2, August 16, 2018. Scene processing. Images taken through the use of a drone were taken prior to the arrival of all investigators and support personnel to the scene at approximately 7:30 a.m. 7:40 a.m., Kessinger called her mom Barbara Jean Kivett and held a 1-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. 7:55 a.m., Kessinger's mom Barbara Jean Kivett called Kessinger and held a 7-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. 8:56 a.m., Kessinger's dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger called Kessinger and a 35-minute conversation. She's still in Thornton. 9:30 a.m., Mark Hilera FBI called Kessinger and held a 41-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. 9:45 a.m., CSA Eric Bryant said. On Thursday, the 16th of August, 2018, the undersigned was called by Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI, Crime Scene Unit Manager David Maloney. I was directed to assist in documenting the autopsies of 3 victims involved in a homicide investigation. The autopsy was scheduled for 10 a.m., the 17th of August at the McKee Medical Center, in Loveland, Colorado. CBI agent Tammy Lee said. After arriving at the site, we met with CBI crime scene analyst, David Yoakum, Frederick Police Department Detective, Dave Baumhover, Frederick Police Officer Scott Coonrod, and numerous employees of Anadarko Petroleum, DT Welding, and Northern Plains Trucking. Everyone on scene received a safety briefing from Anadarko employee, Brett Sisler. During the briefing, we were informed the east tank battery contained approximately 9 feet of crude oil and the west tank battery contained approximately 1.4 feet of crude oil. Sisler advised they would first empty the east tank battery. CSAD Yoakum said. At approximately 10 a.m. on Thursday, August 16. The process on unloading the contents of the tanks in search of the 2 juvenile female victims and other evidence began. Anadarko employees and their subcontractors began the process of unloading and emptying the tanks. This consisted of draining the tanks through a gravity-fed line at the base of each tank into a collection tray, 8 feet by 3 feet by 6. The tray was then emptied through a 4-inch hose with an attached 3/8-inch strainer into a vacuum system attached to a tanker truck. CBI agent Tammy Lee said. After the briefing, I walked over to the small, shallow grave where Chris's wife, Shanann Watts, had been exhumed the night before. There was an orange traffic cone near the open grave. I then assisted the CBI crime scene unit with conducting a grid search of the field surrounding the tank batteries. Items of potential evidence were flagged with bright-colored stakes. I also assisted with conducting a search of the area outside of the barbed wire fence surrounding the oil well site, but nothing was located. The weeds and sunflowers were thick and it did not appear blankets and stuffed animals previously mentioned by Chris as having been left near Shanann's grave could have traveled that far in the wind. After the grid search was completed, I assisted with additional digging around Shanann's gravesite with shovels in an attempt to locate Bella and Celeste's blankets and stuffed animals. No blankets or stuffed animals were located. A short time later, Weld County Deputy Coroner, Joey Weiner, and forensic pathologist, Dr. Michael Burson, arrived on scene to assist with the recovery effort. 10:11 a.m., Kessinger called her dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger and held a 40-minute conversation. Her phone registers in Thornton. 11:19 a.m., Detective Dave Baumhover said. I received an email from Brett Rettis, Complete Energy Services, at 11:19 a.m. with the associated JSA form attached. I opened the attachment and observed 2 typed names with signatures below them. The first was Chris Ostrander's name and signature, and the second was Troy McCoy's name and signature. I contacted Commander Egan, at the Frederick Police Department, and informed him of what I had learned, and requested someone contact and interview Troy McCoy about his presence at the Survey 319 site on the 14th of August, 18. At 11:21 a.m., I forwarded, via email, to Commander Egan the JSA form I was provided via email. 12:32 p.m., Kessinger called her dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger and held a 13-minute conversation. Her phone registers in Thornton. 12:39 p.m., Michael Fesperman sent a message to Chris saying, I don't think you will see this, but I hope you find peace in your struggles, and I pray that you will find God and have mercy on your soul. As news broke of his confession and arrest, Shanann's phone received desperate messages from her friends and loved ones, like Addie Maloney. Need you here. I want you to know you were literally my right hand. I can't do this without you. 1:01 p.m., Kessinger called Mark Gilera FBI and held a 12-minute conversation. She is still in Thornton. 1:12 p.m., Kessinger called her dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger and held a 1-minute conversation. Her phone registers in Thornton. 1:28 p.m., Kessinger called Kevin Kobach CBI and held a 9-minute conversation. Her phone registers in North Glen. 1:46 p.m., Kessinger called her dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger and held a 1-minute conversation. Her phone registers in Thornton. 1:53 p.m., Kevin Kobach CBI called Kessinger and held a 2-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. 2:02 p.m., Kessinger's dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger called Kessinger and held a 14-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. 2:16 p.m., Kessinger called CBI Kevin Kobach and held a 1-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. 2:30 p.m., Chris Watts appeared in Weld County Court, where he was denied bond.
This matter comes on for a first appearance. Mr. Warwick, correct me if I'm wrong, but formal charges have not been filed yet?
That's correct, Your Honor. The defendant was arrested. Formal charges have not been filed. On my calculation, I believe they will be due to the court at 3:30 on Monday.
Thank you. Mr. Mercer, anything you would like to say about that?
Not regarding that issue, thank you.
So the court has reviewed an affidavit in support of a warrantless arrest. The court has found probable cause for the arrest. Specifically, I see that Mr. Watts was arrested for 3 counts of first-degree murder, each a Class 1 felony, and 3 counts of tampering with a deceased human body, each a Class 3 felony. Again, these are only charges that are named in the affidavit in support of a warrantless arrest. It's the district attorney's office who will ultimately decide what charges, if any, are going to be filed. And Mr. Mercer, would you like me to advise your client of his rights pursuant to Rule 5?
Yes, please.
And Mr. Merson is the head of the Public Defender's Office, and he is going to represent you today and potentially in the future. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any plea that you make must be made voluntarily and not the result of undue influence or coercion. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Right now, charges have not been filed, so this is a limited advisement. I intend to bring you back next week once formal charges are filed on Monday, so I can give you a full advisement. But I will tell you that at this point, the court is not authorizing any bail. Once I know what the official charges are that are filed by the district attorney's office, I'll inform you the nature of the charges. If charges are filed, you have the right to a jury trial, and you have the right to demand and receive a preliminary hearing within a reasonable time to determine whether probable cause exists to believe that you committed any of the charges that are filed by the district attorney's office. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
I believe that your lawyer has filed about 16 or so motions on your behalf, including a request for a preliminary hearing. You agree, Mr. Merson, that that time period, that 35 days to have a preliminary hearing, doesn't begin until your client appears in court next week once formal charges are filed?
I agree.
In order it's a Class 1 misdemeanor. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And could we talk about some of them? I realize that things are happening very quickly. Motions were filed today. There hasn't been a lot of time to object or to file responses. Mr. Merson has filed a number of motions, some of which potentially may be time sensitive. My intention is for the parties to come back to court next Tuesday so I could advise Mr. Watts of his formal charges that are filed no later than 3:30 on Monday. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be requiring the prosecutor to file a response between now and Tuesday, or whether we can resolve some of these issues now. For example, the preservation of certain evidence, like police notes, handwritten notes, like touch DNA evidence, things of that nature. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, one more thing.
Yes.
I would just ask the court order that the prosecution give the defense notice as to if an autopsy is to be scheduled, when that is scheduled, so that we can file the appropriate motions. I think you can appreciate why we would want notice of that.
Yes. Any objection to that?
Not as to the notice issue.
Yeah, I'm not going to be ordering that they, at this point, I'm not ordering that they be allowed to be present during the autopsy. Why don't we say 48 hours notice? Is that reasonable?
Yes, and if I learn that information over the weekend, I'll email Mr. Merson.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Merson?
That's fine, thank you.
They wouldn't do the autopsy over the weekend, though, would they?
No, I don't believe so.
They would? 10 o'clock or Monday? When we are at least.
p.m., police follow up at the Lazy Dog restaurant. 3:07 p.m., Kessinger called a friend workmate at Tasman Geosciences and held a 17-minute conversation. She is still in Thornton. CSA David Yoakum said. Once the tanker truck on site at Anadarko had been filled, and no items of evidence had been identified during the course of draining the tank and filling the truck was released with its contents from the scene. Once the tanks were empty, entry to the tanks for body recovery could only be done by specially trained and certified personnel. Entry and recovery was done by the Colorado State Patrol, CSP, hazardous materials team through a side hatch located near the bottom side of the tank. Entry into the tank could only be done through the use of self-contained breathing apparatus and full hazardous materials fire protection gear. Atmospheric conditions as well as volatile flashpoints were monitored by Anadarko employees as well as the CSP hazardous material team. 3:45 p.m., upon the completion of emptying the east tank, a juvenile female victim believed to be Celeste Watts was found buried in crude oil sludge at the bottom of the east tank. The victim was recovered by CSP and was wearing an orange-pink colored shirt, shorts and a diaper with no shoes or socks. The body was decomposing and was completely covered in crude oil. Weld County coroner took possession of the body. CBI Tammy Lee said. Celeste was covered in oil and was brought out of the tank in a white decontamination box that had been affixed with rope handles. Celeste was wearing a pink nightgown and I could see she was also wearing a pull-up. Once outside the tank, Dr. Burson patted her stomach area down with oil-absorbent pads. Celeste appeared to have skin slippage and was wrapped in a white sheet and then laid inside of an open body bag. After Celeste had been recovered, I left the scene and was not present during the recovery of Bella from the west tank. 3:50 p.m., Kessinger called CBI Kevin Kobach and held a 3-minute conversation. She is still in Thornton. 3:58 p.m., Kessinger's dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger called Kessinger and held a 3-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. At 4:02 p.m., Kessinger called Taylor, a friend, and held a 9-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. Taylor lives in Frederick area and is 11 minutes away from 2825 Saratoga Trail. At 4:10 p.m., Kessinger's dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger called Kessinger and held a 3-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. At 4:12 p.m., CBI Kevin Kobach called Kessinger and held a 1-minute conversation. She is still in Thornton. At 4:13 p.m., Kessinger called her dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger and held a 1-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. At 4:30 p.m., Kessinger called her dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger again and held a 1-minute conversation. She is now registering in Commerce City, Colorado. She is getting ready for her interview with Kevin Kobach. At 4:55 p.m., Kessinger's police interview starts. She attends this interview with her father Dwayne Lee Kessinger. 5:55 p.m., CSA David Yoakum said. After the recovery of the victim from the east tank, the west tank was drained under the same procedural guidelines. Again, found in the bottom of the tank, in the crude oil sludge, was the second juvenile female victim believed to be Bella Watts. The victim was wearing a pink multicolored shirt and shorts. No shoes or socks. The tanks were both searched for additional evidence by CSP. No additional evidence was located. The waste and overflow tank directly to the east of both tanks was visually searched for additional evidence. No evidence was identified or observed. 6:40 p.m., CBI cleared the scene at the Anadarko site at 6:40 p.m. on August 16, 2018. 8:29 p.m., Kessinger's police interview concluded. 8:33 p.m., the endangered missing alert for Shanann, Bella, and Celeste was cancelled. News reporting on the day.
Police in Colorado say they have found 2 bodies they believe are the daughters of Christopher and Shanann Watts. Christopher Watts reportedly confessed Thursday to killing his pregnant wife and 2 daughters. Watts appeared in court hours after police found his wife's body at an oil field where he works. Police said the other 2 bodies were found nearby. Watts could face up to 3 counts of first-degree murder. Omar Villafranca is in Colorado following this story.
Chris Watts had little to say in a Colorado courtroom this afternoon. Wednesday night, the body of his pregnant wife Shanann was discovered on the property of one of his work sites.
We have been able to recover a body that we're quite certain is Shanann Watts.
It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from.
He allegedly confessed to killing Shanann and their 2 daughters, 3-year-old Celeste and 4-year-old Bella, after he told reporters he had no idea where they were and begged for their safe return.
I have no inclination of where she is. If somebody has her, just please bring her back.
Shanann was last seen by a colleague who dropped her off from a work trip at 2 a.m. Monday. Asked by a reporter if the couple had been fighting, Watts responded,
"It wasn't like an argument. We had an emotional conversation, but I'll leave it at that. But I just want them back."
Family, friends, and the entire Frederick, Colorado police force searched around the clock.
My daddy is a hero. He helps me grow up strong.
34-year-old Shanann posted frequently about her family on Facebook. In May, she wrote, "I love this man. He's my rock." In another post, she reveals to her daughters that she is having another baby.
Mommy has a baby in her belly.
The couple had faced financial problems. They filed for bankruptcy in 2015. In a statement today, Shanann's family expressed their hurt, confusion, and anger.
Joining me now from Frederick, Colorado, is Omar Villafranca. Omar, have police released a motive for this crime?
At this point, Elaine, they have not, and they're really kind of being quiet. And in court today, they were bringing up the point that the affidavit is still sealed by the court. So as far as an exact motive, we're not sure. As we mentioned before, the family did file for bankruptcy in 2015, so that could play a role, but right now it's too early to speculate.
Well, the wife and daughters were reported missing on Monday. Watts was taken into custody Wednesday. Do we know what prompted police to begin treating this as a homicide case?
Well, no, and mind you, keep in mind the Frederick police and everybody in this area was handing out flyers. They were looking all over the place for this family that was missing, and Mr. Watt was even talking to the media. But again, it brought up to the point that that affidavit, the police affidavit, has been sealed. We're trying to find out exactly what was in it, but a court and the judge has sealed it. So we're going to have to wait. We're hoping we'll get clues into what gave him probable cause to arrest him. Now, there's been reports that he, of course, allegedly confessed to it. But what pressure investigators were putting on him, we don't know.
And do we know then, Omar, what happens next here?
Well, and an interesting point, because he hasn't been formally charged. He's facing possibly 3 murder charges and 3 tampering with evidence, being the body. That is expected. Those formal charges are expected to happen on Monday. And then he's expected in court on Tuesday. In court today, he walked in, didn't say anything. When the judge asked him or told him about his rights, all he said was yes and yes, sir. Didn't say anything leaving the courtroom as well. So he hasn't pled to anything because he hasn't been formally charged. We will know more about that on Monday afternoon and Tuesday.
Such a disturbing story. Omar Villafranca, thanks very much, Omar.
Thank you, Elaine.
Friday, August 17th, 2018. 2:06 a.m., Kessinger texts CBI Kevin Kobach saying, "I remembered more stuff." 6:48 a.m., Kobach replies to Kessinger saying, "Okay. Did you sleep?" Kessinger said, "More than I have lately. Probably about 5 hours." Kobach replied, "Good. Are you working today?" Kessinger said, "No. Took today off. Not really sure how to deal with my coworkers, so I think maybe it is wise to try and set up a meeting with EAP and my bosses from both companies, and give them a brief background of what is occurring, and ask them for help with this. Was hoping maybe I could refer them to you if they had questions." 6:57 p.m., Kobach replied, "Sure. I will help any way I can. I would like to talk to you about what you remember. Can I call you at about 9 when I get to my office?" Kessinger said, "Yes, I want to get this all wrapped up pretty soon." Kobach replied, "Okay. I will call you as soon as I get to my office. Thanks for contacting me." Kessinger said, "Okay." 7:13 a.m., Kessinger called her dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger and held a 49-minute conversation. Phone registers in Thornton. 9:24 a.m., Kessinger texts CBI Kevin Kobach saying, "I am ready when you are." Kobach replied, "I'm in a meeting and will call you soon." Kessinger said, "K." Kobach replied, "Sorry, still stuck here. Give a few more." Kessinger said, "Okay." Kobach replied, "Few more minutes, sorry." Kessinger said, "Is it possible to find out if my name is in the sealed affidavit thing that is to be opened next week? Would like to contact my employer about the media thing, and trying to be proactive with work, and it'd be nice if I could give them a heads up about when things might take place. What time are you available?" Kobach replied, "Just wrapping up the meeting, call you soon." 10 a.m., autopsy. CBI agent Tammy Lee said, "On Friday, August 17, 2018, a Colorado Bureau of Investigation CBI agent Tammy Lee responded to McKee Medical Center to attend the autopsies of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste Watts. The autopsies were performed by Dr. Michael Burson and his assistant, Weld County Deputy Coroner Joey Weiner. Present during the autopsies were Weld County Coroner Carl Blesch, Weld County Chief Deputy District Attorney Steve Wren, Weld County Deputy District Attorney Patrick Roche, FBI Special Agent Graham Coder, and CBI Crime Scene Analyst Eric Bryant. Prior to the performance of the autopsies, Chief DA Wren read an email aloud to Dr. Burson, which included a request by the public defender's DNA expert to have the necks of the victims swabbed, removal scrapings of the fingernails, and X-rays. The first autopsy performed was on Shanann Watts. Shanann had X-rays taken prior to the autopsy, and I informed Dr. Burson that Shanann had a prior neck surgery. Shanann was wearing a purple-gray t-shirt, black bra, and blue thong underwear, which were removed and collected as evidence. Shanann appeared to have a large amount of skin slippage and her amniotic sac protruding from her vaginal area. Dr. Burson examined the amniotic sac and removed Shanann's fetus. The fetus was collected as evidence, and CBI laboratory manager Aaron Koning arrived during the autopsy to transport the fetus directly to the CBI's forensic laboratory. During Shanann's autopsy, Dr. Burson pointed out several important findings. Dr. Burson advised Shanann's hyoid bone was not broken, although he pointed out bruising to the soft tissue on the right side of the hyoid bone. Dr. Burson also noted bruising to the muscles and tissue in Shanann's neck. Dr. Burson advised he did not note any other trauma to Shanann's body and found no evidence of disease. Dr. Burson advised Shanann's preliminary cause of death was asphyxiation due to manual strangulation. 10:52 a.m., CBI agent Kevin Kobach called Kessinger and held a 50-minute conversation. Phone registered in Thornton. This is Kessinger's third interview. 12:07 p.m., Kessinger calls Lynn from Anadarko and held a 15-minute conversation. Her phone now registers in North Glen. 12:17 p.m., CBI Kevin Kobach texts Kessinger saying, "Nikki, call me about the victim advocate. Hazel Heckers is her name. Phone will show on caller ID as 303, but her direct number is 303. 12:21 p.m., Kessinger called CBI Kevin Kobach and held a 5-minute conversation. Still in North Glen. 12:26 p.m., Kessinger called Hazel Heckers CBI victim support and held a 1-minute conversation. Still in North Glen. 12:28 p.m., Kessinger received an incoming call, not sure from who, and held a 20-minute conversation. She is still in North Glen. 1:14 p.m., Kessinger's dad Dwayne Lee Kessinger called Kessinger and held a 10-minute conversation. Phone registers in Thornton. CBI agent Greg Zentner said, "On Friday, August 17, 2018, I re-interviewed Troy McCoy at the Anadarko Petroleum headquarters located at 501 North Division Boulevard, Platteville. The purpose of this second interview was to clarify some timeline questions and to inquire about McCoy returning to Servi 319 on Tuesday, August 14, 2018, at about 2:12 p.m.
So what do you do after you leave the training?
Okay, there from that point, I've got everything here going through my head, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Because it's been since Monday since we've heard anything from Shanann.
Okay,
right?
Wait, let me stop you there.
No, you're fine.
So you said you got everything in your head. Tell me what that means.
Well, everything that's going on. Chris took off work, and I'm worried about his wife and his kids because I've known his wife and his kids, I've been over, hung out with Shanann, hung out with Bella and everything. So I'm like, what's going on here? And he's been real short with me on text messages, and there's been no news updates. I've been seeing, stuff coming out that people are looking for me. Everybody's sharing it on Facebook. So I was like, well, if nothing else, it's 1 o'clock. I don't have anything else to do. I'll head back out toward that 319 and, see if I see anything out of the norm and stuff like that. And that's the same time that officer called me.
What prompts you to want to go to the 319?
Because that was the first location we were at that morning.
Okay. Just because, or something's tripping your suspicion here, obviously.
Well, I mean, honestly, because I seen him in the different clothes. Okay. I seen him in that. And then, and he just was short with me that day.
Okay.
He wasn't really engaging in conversations and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, 11 o'clock to noon, his wife's gone, supposedly. And, he thought that she went to a friend's house or whatever. I'm like, this is, even in my head, it's not adding up.
So you've been thinking about this quite a bit as
I
Monday went along.
I work with. They're all like my brothers.
Yeah.
Honestly. You can ask my whole group. I would do anything in the world for them, I'd be there for them. They can talk to me about anything, and everything. And I was like, man, this is just so weird because they're such a picture-perfect couple. And then all of a sudden she's just gone, and that didn't make any sense to me because by then we'd heard that the cell phone was there, the kids' medication was there, the purse was there at the house, everything. And Shanann and the girls were gone. That didn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
Because Shanann lives on that phone because that's what her business is that phone.
Right.
So I drove out to the 319. And as soon as I went through the gate was already open. There was a water truck driver on location.
Okay.
And from MPT. And I signed his JSA. So I parked out by the wellhead, and I didn't want to alert the guy that I was, you know, out there looking for anything odd and suspicious or anything like that. So
You know what time that was?
It was around 2 o'clock or so. I
Okay.
arrived out there, and I talked to the gentleman and everything like that, and told him, I was like, well, I think, you know, I might have forgot a crescent wrench or whatever, because I didn't want him to tell him, because I didn't know if I should look around the field or what I should do. So that's what I told him.
Okay.
You know, and then I signed his JSA, and I turned around and looked at the clock, and it's like, it's so freaking late that by the time I get out of Survey Ranch and back to, you know, the area around like County Road 22 and, you know, 37, kind of like a baseline, if somebody needs me, then I'm going to be way too far away. So I went ahead and just got back in my truck after I signed his JSA and left location.
Okay. Why did you sign that?
Because I'm supposed to.
Okay.
What is I have to sign that
what
JSA.
is a JSA?
Job site analysis.
Okay.
So these contractors that work for us, if they pull up on a location, they pull a tank, which he pulled the open top water pit, is what he pulled. That's what he was hooked up to.
So this water truck driver, do you know who that is?
No, sir, I don't know his name.
Okay.
But I did sign his JSA.
Okay. Is that what this is?
I signed electronically. He just handed it to me and said, sign this.
One 1:25 p.m., Jesse Lambert from the Dacono Police Department said. On the 17th of August, 18 at approximately 1:25 p.m., I was asked by Officer Davies with Frederick Police Department to assist with a burglary in progress call at 2825 Saratoga Trail, Frederick, Colorado. Weld County Communications advised that there were multiple people in the house taking pictures, and the reporting party, a neighbor, said that he didn't think they had permission to be in the residence. I was advised by responding officers that the individuals in the house might be an investigation team from the district attorney's office. Upon arrival, a male identifying himself as the reporting party contacted me and said that he went up to the door and knocked, but the individuals inside would not open the door. I looked through the front window by the door and saw several people walking around and several tubs of equipment on the floor. A male opened the door and advised that he was with Christopher Watts' defense team. Frederick officers arrived shortly after I made contact at the door. The male asked for us to come inside so we were not in earshot of the news cameras that were set up in the street. Officer Davies asked me to call the Weld County District Attorney's Office to see if the defense team was allowed to be in the house while they contacted the defense team. I spoke to District Attorney Investigator Kathy Holscher, and she advised that the house had been released as a crime scene and the defense team was allowed to be there. I relayed the information to the Frederick officers and I cleared the scene. 1:30 p.m., CBI agent Tammy Lee said. The second autopsy performed was on 4-year-old Bella. Bella was dressed in a pink nightgown covered in butterflies and a pair of underwear, which were removed and collected as evidence. Bella also had a large amount of skin slippage. Bella was x-rayed and there was concern she may have had a broken jaw. The x-rays were sent to a pediatric radiologist at Children's Hospital, who advised it appeared to be gas in the area of the jaw and not an actual fracture. It also appeared Bella had some scrapes to her buttocks and the tops of both shoulders. Dr. Burson pointed out several important findings. He advised Bella's frenulum skin connecting the top lip to the gum was torn, which created a large hole. The inside of Bella's gums and inner lip also appeared bruised, and it appeared Bella had bit into her tongue. He indicated Bella's injuries were consistent with hard downward pressure on her nose and mouth. He indicated Bella's death was violent, as it appeared she struggled to get away. Dr. Burson's preliminary cause of death for Bella was asphyxiation due to manual smothering. Dr. Burson did not note any bruising or injury to Bella's neck. At 4:06 p.m., Kessinger called her friend Brittany and held a 80-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. 5:30 p.m., CBI agent Tammy Lee said. The final autopsy performed was on 3-year-old Celeste. Celeste was dressed in a pink nightgown, Minnie Mouse underwear, and a pull-up. The nightgown and underwear were collected as evidence. Celeste had a large amount of skin slippage. Celeste did not have any obvious signs of injury or bruising to her neck area. I also did not observe any injury to Celeste's mouth or face, to include petechiae. Dr. Burson advised Celeste's preliminary cause of death was asphyxiation due to manual smothering. Dr. Burson also measured the hip and shoulder width of Bella and Celeste and advised the smallest width was Celeste at 9.5 inches. I was aware the opening to the hatch of the oil tank was only 8 inches in diameter. The items of evidence collected during the autopsy were packaged and turned over to Detective Baumhover. 5:39 p.m., Kessinger's mom Barbara Kivett called Kessinger and held a 3-minute conversation. She is still in Thornton. 6:02 p.m., Kessinger called Hazelbrook Sober Living and held a 14-minute conversation. Still in Thornton. 7:59 p.m., Kessinger texts CBI Kevin Kobach saying, "Can I ask how were you able to acquire my texts between Charlotte and I?" Kobach replied, "We have all your text for the past 7 days." Kessinger said, "Thank you for the info. Why did I sign that paperwork if you guys already had the info?" Not upset by any means, just confused. "Do you guys get all my texts going forward as well?" Kobach replied, "Again, the phone could contain other texts that were not captured by the cell phone company. No, we do not get your texts." Kessinger said, "Understood. Thank you. Have a good weekend." Kobach replied, "You too." 8:30 p.m., hundreds gathered to take part in a candlelight vigil for Shanann and her children. Flowers, stuffed animals, crosses and photos adorned a makeshift memorial that was created in front of their home.
Is over, if you guys want to send a message to their parents, I'll record it and give that to them so they know.
At 8:41 p.m., Officer Perez said, "On the 17th of August, 2018 at approximately 8:41 p.m., I was requested by Detective Baumhover to transport items of evidence to the Longmorn Police Department. Detective Baumhover handed me 4 brown paper bags that were all sealed with red tape. Marked on the bags were the following: bag number 1, underwear number 1, bag number 2, shirt number 2, bag number 3, bra number 3, bag number 4, sheet number 7. All 4 bags contained Shanann Watts' name on a printed label." 9:02 p.m., I arrived at the Longmorn Police Department at approximately 9:02 p.m. I was escorted to the Longmorn Police Evidence Room by Officer Jocelyn Placencia. I cut the red tape that was sealing the sheet number 7 bag with my knife. Inside that bag was a white sheet with dirt all over, and red stains. Wrapped inside the sheet was a small pile of dirt. The dirt was placed in a separate brown paper bag and marked dirt from sheet number 7. The sheet was placed inside a dry room locker, draping over a rod that was inside the locker. The sheet was tagged as number 7 with the case number and locked inside the locker along with the bag of dirt. I then cut the red tape that was sealing the bra number 3 bag with my knife. Inside that bag was a black bra that was covered in dirt. The bra was placed inside a different drying locker, on a shelf. The bra was tagged as number 3 along with the case number. I cut the red tape that was sealing the shirt number 2 bag with my knife. Inside that bag was a shirt, white on top and purple on the bottom, with what appeared to have a heart logo in the middle of the shirt. The shirt was also covered in dirt. The shirt was placed inside the same drying locker as the bra, on a hanger. The shirt was tagged as number 2 along with the case number. The drying locker containing the bra, shirt, and underwear was locked. The keys to both drying lockers were put inside a cabinet hole that only evidence personnel would have access to. Officer Placencia assisted me through the whole process of placing the items into the drying lockers. Officer Placencia completed a property and evidence report sheet, containing Longmont's case number. A copy of the property and evidence report sheet will be added to the case file. Photographs were taken of the items inside the drying lockers and will be submitted into evidence. Video and audio was recorded from the time I arrived at the Longmont Police Department till I finished placing the items of evidence inside the drying lockers.
Yeah, just hold the bag, make sure you get them in there. Alright, that should be good enough. There we go.
Part 19, coming soon.